Any label you like, son. Any label
We'll
you
put
like.
a label on it. Okay, you're almost full of big wave now. Come on, it's going on the side.
Let's get those armpits going. There's more seats in the front. Come on.
How embarrassing for you all. Okay, this side. Hello. Okay, we're going to do that again. That was awful. Okay. Okay, left side only. Huge shout and a hello. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
fantastic.
Weak. Come on, righties. Give me
right
a 1,
side.
2,
Come on,
3.
you're better than them. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
How embarrassing for the left side. I swear, that was awful.
Dear.
Okay, left side. 1, 2, 3.
Pathetic.
Okay, we have to try something new. We did all this last year, so I have an idea. Mexican wave hasn't been done at Lotusphere before. So front row back. Ready? On 3. 1.
Okay, well, welcome to BP 104 Worst Practices Revisited. Yeah. Now, this is the session we never thought legal would let us do. So this year we're going to make sure we get sued, okay? So it's a whole bunch of news stories, okay? Now, as always, I'm flicking way too ahead here. We've got to absolutely make the point, especially if there's any Microsoft guys drifted in by accident. Vista's Thursdays, guys. These aren't Domino problems, okay? This is all pilot error. Domino is a fantastic tool. It'll do whatever you tell it, no matter how stupid that is, okay? And the whole point of this exercise is to highlight just what happens when you start making mistakes in corporate enterprise level environments. Dumb things can happen, especially under pressure, especially under stress, especially when you're hungover on a Monday morning, okay? Like this, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get the idea. Yeah, we're not pointing fingers. We're trying to get you guys to accept that professionalism is standing up and saying, look, I screwed up, let's fix it, okay? Get away from a blame culture.
Okay.
What is a mistake? Other people make them.
Right. What is a mistake? Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Mooney, by the way. I'm not Scottish. I'm not in a skirt. For all the people that asked me to wear a kilt this year, no. Okay. Hands up here who has ever made a mistake. Anybody omnipotent? Hands up here who's never made a mistake. Oh, we have a couple.
Warren.
Devin Olsen, he is omnipotent. He's also a lot bigger than me, so I'm not going to say anything to him. Okay, the reason that you guys are all here is because you're really, really good at your job. So you're very, very good at actually implementing lots of Domino technologies or Portal or whatever. But the main reason that you all get to a good point in your career is that you're very good at diagnosing and fixing problems. Right. It's a sign of a good consultant, a sign of a good techie. Somebody that can go in, troubleshoot, fix a problem without making it worse, and then impart their knowledge onto other people. And that's the best way of actually going through this. That's what this presentation is about. It is highlighting things that could have been really so easily avoided. For example, just basic education or common sense, or even a backup tape. You know, just strange little things like that that would have made life a lot easier for us all. So, we're going to cover this. Hands up who was here last year. The groupies are in the house. Fantastic. Okay. So, we have exactly the same agenda as last year, but with all new stories. So, we have 12 tales to tell. They are all true.
12 tales of pain and woe and suffering.
We, as ever, will never tell, you know, who caused any of these problems, but we're going to point you out. We're getting a big light that's going to shine on top of you. I should say, it was you. Okay? So for every single story, we follow the same format. We're going to go through what the problem was occurring, you know, the symptoms of the problem, how you try to diagnose the problem, what caused the problem, how you fix the problem, and then what can you learn from it. Okay? They're all true. We always put them into certain stories, and at the end of this, we cover infrastructure and development. I take admin, because I hate developers, and Bill takes development.
Because I hate admins.
And we both hate end users, so it's okay.
And we all hate lawyers.
And at the end of this, there's time for confessions, but a bit more than just confessing to us at the Speakers Lounge. There's a website, theworstpractices.com, where you can submit your story anonymously. We'll moderate it then and publish it, and it's getting quite successful now. And if you go up there, you can read all these stories and many, many more that people put up there.
We will absolve your sins.
Okay?
Okay, we've got 12 stories. Saving Disk Space, ECL Hell, the magical mail file. Wow. Now you see it, now you don't. We've got son of email from hell. Yeah! Just to prove it, people don't learn. Yeah, it gets even better. we tried to do a film theme this year, so we thought of the Decrappy Code. But that's as far as it got, really. Identity crisis, missing you already. Security for beginners, as implemented by a major bank. Agent ageism. Oh, was that important? And, the leak.
Okay, we'll get straight into it. We're going to start with me, as ever, and then we'll switch to Bill, admin and development. And this is obviously a true story, encountered by myself about 3 years ago, on a single server site with about 500-600 users, all running off a Domino. I think it was 5 server at the time. And like many node sites, a lot of admins will appreciate this. You generally have a C partition, which is going to be your operating system, your page, your swap files, and then a D drive. And you tend to install your program files for notes onto the C drive. Even if it's the same array, do people tend to partition that? Hands up if you've done that before. Okay, a lot of people would do that. So it could be the same RAID 5 array anyway, but you put all your program files neatly on the C, and then the D drive is your data, so you back up primarily your D drive all the time. That's what this site had done. And they're running low on disk space. I mean very, very low on disk space, as in that much disk space free. And I get a phone call, they're pretty much in trouble, and they're saying, okay, you're out of disk space. When did you last run compaction? And the guy says, well, we've been reading through the logs ourselves, and we don't think compaction has ran in about 30 days. I'm going, okay, that's a bad thing. So I'll come onto the site, and you start the investigation. Now, with investigations, as I always stress, you go in with your hands tied behind your back, hopefully manacled. You do not click yourself into more trouble. Okay, you do not cause yourselves more problems.
And your nickname is Captain Click, right?
My nickname used to be Captain Click, because I would just keep clicking until the problem got away, but usually it would get worse. How many people have tried to click their way out of a bad situation?
Yeah, everyone else is lying, right? Yeah.
Just keep clicking, keep typing. Yeah. Okay, so you go through the investigation thing. You start checking the log files. You start checking the console, looking at the black screen, seeing what's coming up. Look at the free disk space. Check fragmentation on the drives, okay? And I'm going, okay, well, try to load compact. So the guy types in load compact, and it comes up file not found. Okay, file not found. I'm going, okay, that's kind of odd. Let's be strange here. Let's just try load something else. I say load fix up, file not found.
You've got it.
And I'm going, okay, this is very strange. Any obvious errors? Lots of files weren't found. I said load design, file not found. Load web, file not found. Load HTTP, file not found. And I'm going, right, many program files, many DLLs were missing. Hands up who sees where this is going. Admins see where this is going. What had happened? The administrator was trying to free up disk space, so saw a notes directory in his C drive and pressed delete. This is true. This is true. So it's sitting on a Windows operating system will proceed to chew away those files until it hits one that's in use, for example, the router or the replicator task. So it stops there and cancels the deletion, but all those other files had gone, including all the DLLs. There was less than 45 files in the programs directory. And the server had stayed up for 30 days.
Yeah.
This is true. So the guy goes, what'll I do? Will I reboot? No. Do not restart the server. It will not come back up. So I go, okay, who caused this? And he goes, not me. So the usual follow through on the blame game. Okay? So what do you do with this? You leave the server up until that evening, you drop the server, then you reinstall Domino over the same area files, and then bring the server back up and all will be well. Okay? Lessons learned from this. A Domino server, for the developers who probably don't know this, isn't just a black screen of death. It is a combination of many, many applications, Compact, and Fixup, and HTTP, if you're running on the Windows platform. So it's a combination of lots of little programs. If you delete a lot of these, your server will still run until it tries to call some of those programs, and that's when you'll start to have problems. Document your architecture. Sounds so simple, so strange, but if an administrator comes in who hasn't seen your environment before, he might assume it's installed in his way and not in your way, and he may just go to delete that C drive. Another slight piece of advice in this, there are multiple levels of security in Domino, as you all know, many, many different levels of administration rights. You've got to bring that back also onto your operating system console. You don't have to let your administrators be able to get in straight onto the naked operating system and actually try to play around with files.
What you're saying is don't let idiots near the console.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. Act on a warning. The administrators there knew this problem. You have in Note 7, you've got the Domino domain monitor. There's some great sessions on with DDM, with Kathleen McGivney and other people on throughout the week. And in earlier versions of Notes, you've got your statistics and events monitor. The tools are there to tell you if there's problems with the server. The problems won't go away. If every Monday morning you get an email saying there's like ncompact would not run, file not found, it's gonna be like that next Monday as well, until you actually resolve the problem. So act on your issues, don't just leave them there. It doesn't matter how good the DDM is, and it is fantastic. If you don't act on the problems that it tells you, your system's still gonna be unstable. Cluster. I have the flu or a cold. No, I'm sorry about this.
You're hungover.
I'm not.
Be honest.
Cluster your servers. The Notes clustering methodology is fantastic. It is second to none. It is very, very simple. You can cluster across different operating systems, different versions of Domino. You can have active, passive clustering. You can have many different variants in the cluster environment. I'm giving a session later on this week with Kathleen McGivney on clustering tips and performance tips for your clustered environment. Setting up a cluster is very, very simple. Even do it in the short term if you're doing any major work in your environment, if you cannot permit yourself to have any downtime at all. Okay? And that's you.
Okay. Execution control list hell. Who here uses ECLs? Yeah, everyone does, right? They're really cool, aren't they? Yeah. Well, one day, this set of users at a company, a big company, were locked out of everything. They could type in their password, open Lotus Notes, and that was it. No dialogues, no warnings, zilch. Nada. So what do you do? Spanky just fell over. He's shocked. We worked out that basically the ECL was preventing any form of code whatsoever running. And of course, you do the investigation, you ask, has anyone changed anything? No. You know, all the normal things. Well, we checked the administration ECL. Okay. Can you see where this is going? A junior administrator, straight back from training, fired up with goodwill, good intentions, and no sense. He removed everything out of the ECL and just added himself. And that's pretty cool. And then he made a global policy and made sure that the users couldn't change the ECL because they're users. You don't want to do that, right? And then he wondered why nobody bar him could work. Yeah, okay, you get the idea. So you shoot the administrator. Twice.
You have to be sure.
Make sure he's dead.
Reload if you need to.
Yeah. Why do you shoot him 11 times? I ran out of bullets. Yeah. Remove the policy restriction on the ECL server, add standard entries back in, and then you're going to try and send these guys some code and a button to refresh their ECL, okay? And that's really tough. You could just construct a new database using the idiot's ID and let them in that way, or you could re-sign all the mail templates, which is really nasty, and so on and so on and so on, okay? So you can get out of it, it's just nasty. So, what lessons did we learn? A little knowledge is dangerous. Hey, the policies work. Hell, the ECL works. Always test wide sweeping things before implementation. Don't just go, hey, this will take a minute. Because it'll take a week of your career, a year of your life. Yeah? So, you know, check and test, check and test, check and test. Stay in a job. Yeah.
Okay, on to me. The magical mail file, a little favorite of mine. And this is a small to medium site with about 5 Domino servers and about 2,000 users. And everybody here knows Murphy's Law or Sod's Law. You know, the problem's going to happen to the most important person every time. Well, in this case, it applies. Every Monday morning, the director's mail file was missing.
every
It
month.
had to be the director, of course. It couldn't be anybody else.
No one else would
Okay.
notice.
So I get a phone call. You're informed. I got a phone call saying, can you come onto the site? It's happened 3 weeks in a row, and quite obviously the director is a bit upset. So the investigation, when you see that a mail file is disappearing, the first things you do is to check the administration requests. Has anybody tried to remove the mail file? Check the log file, search for the file name, use a log analysis tool to see if you can find out when the file was deleted or why the file was deleted. Okay? So I did all this, and I'm running through it, and nothing's coming up. I'm going, oh, what could be happening to this file? I looked at the antivirus logs. The antivirus system was installed on the Domino server, which uses file system antivirus, which is a very good idea. Your operating system needs antivirus stuff. But do not make your file system antivirus environment scan your data directory, because that always looks for files that change. So every file notes is changing. When you open a database, the NSF is changing. The index is building. You're adding a document. It's always growing. So antivirus was scanning all these. For some reason, it found a false positive every week in the director's mail file and quarantined it and took it out of the system. So then it removed the mail file, hence causing all the problems. How many people have seen antivirus systems, file antivirus systems running in a data directory? Very common. It's a huge performance hit. It is really a big problem for servers. Okay? Resolutions. Configure the AV software to exclude the data directory. Not only that, I would also recommend configure the AV software to exclude the temp directory where attachments can be extracted to, the view index rebuild directories, transaction logs, all things they don't need to run in, because it will check every file that changes. AV software is required, but you need to configure it correctly. Use separate Domino-based antivirus software or an AV software with a Domino plugin for your Domino environment, something that understands the NSF architecture. It's very, very good practice as well to use variants on your your antivirus. So if you have one product doing the antivirus on your platform, having another product running the antivirus on your Domino. Does anybody here do that as an implementation policy? Good, good. There's quite a few people that do. Very common to actually implement. Okay? Alternate everything as much as you can and use the dedicated software. Keep it patched and keep it up to date. I've noticed with quite a few antivirus environments as well, when you set exclusions, they tend to disappear if you implement a policy-wide exclusion environment. Has anybody seen that in an AV system? The exclusions just disappear and you have to put them back in. So don't assume that you put them in once that they're going to stay there. They will come back over and over. Okay?
Okay. Now you see it. And now you don't. Well, mission critical, enterprise-wide database, all the data disappears. Yeah. And management do the usual headless chicken, you know. Where are the backups? Help! He's weird. Yeah. So you look at the database activity, you ask a few questions. Anybody done any changes? No. You know. Yeah, we talked to a developer and we asked him what he did, and, well, what he did was he ran an agent that screwed up every single reader field in this database. Yeah! The power. And then it replicated. So, yeah. So the resolution, again, shoot the developer.
Twice.
Three, four times.
Keep going.
Shoot his family, whatever.
He's got any pets? Shoot
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Anyone we went to school with. Anyway, you're just going to eradicate the stupid gene from society, you know. You can use full access administration to go in. If you open full access administration on the admin client and then on your notes client, open that database, you've actually got full access administration. You can run code. Okay, that's how you get back in, which is cool. And that's another reason why full access admin is evil. And it should only be done under supervision and, you know, not left on all the time, because that's really dumb, okay? Yeah. Or you restore it from backup. Now, another thing for developers, I audit a lot of code, especially junior developers. You see them using Lotusphere to create new documents. You see them creating what they think is reader fields, but they don't set the flags properly, and they wonder why reader fields are broken. I don't know if you've seen that as well. That's another related disease of lack of education, really. Okay.
If I can just cut in here, hands up to developers. Please, hands up to developers.
Developers, come on, guys. Be proud.
Be proud of what you do. It's not that ashaming. Hands up. Hands up to the developers with development rights in their production environment. You shouldn't. I've said it last year, I'll say it again. Go back on Monday, ask your administrators to restrict your access. Thank you.
Now, developers, do you know why? Because it's going to save your ass, that's why. Because you're going to hand the template over to the admins, and they're going to implement the mistake. Yeah. Okay? It works both ways.
Developers should have the rights and the ability to run whatever code they like in a completely separate, compartmentalized development domain. You can go hog wild in there. You can do whatever you want to do. And when you're finished with your code, you should hand me a new release of the template. Please. He's not even a nod from the developers. You hand a new release of the template.
You remember templates, right?
Yes.
Come on, guys.
To the administrator. And the administrator then uses that template to apply a new release to the production database with the correct ID, which is in the ECL, so all your signers are correct and all your work is correct. And it gives you fantastic cover from risk. It makes your work process longer. We know it makes your work process longer. But you're covered. As Bill said, you can blame the administrator if we apply it. It's their fault, not your fault. So the code just doesn't work.
Proper change control is, mandatory. It's professional. It'll cover your ass. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Son of enough from hell. This is true. I'm going to kick off by actually starting off the story is true. This is a very large customer site, which had many servers. It was a couple of years ago, spread across multiple environments. And they had a mail server in every country, and then they'd have a mail routing hub. And the mail routing hub would spread to other mail routing hubs in regional areas, and they'd have their local mail servers. Okay, quite a large hub and spoke topology. And one day, one of the servers grinds to a complete halt. Okay, it slows down totally. People can't really use the system at all. The server's running at full percent CPU, so we don't know exactly what's running. But then it starts slowly spreading to other servers. So the first thing that comes into mind of these people is virus. We've obviously got some sort of virus in our mail server. Something's happening, and it's now spreading to other servers through file shares or through some level of permissions on the operating system. So the investigation, I get called in to come into the site. And I go, okay, I'm going to come in and take a look at the servers. Again, as I always say, you must approach this with a hands-off mentality. Even if you know or you have a good idea what the problem is, you have to assess the environment before you make a change, then make a change. Okay? Don't dig a deeper hole for yourself, because then if you make all the changes and you can't get back to where you were, it's immediately your problem. You created the mistake instead of it being there before you got there. So I check the Domino server console, and I see that the router file is running in a dispatching messages mode. And I see nrouter.exe is running a 99% CPU of this server. Disks are being hammered, read and writes in the server as well, okay? And the WAN traffic is quite high. So I know it's an email, so I open the mail.box on the Domino server because I'm an administrator, and administrators have the rights to open an email on the mail.box on the Domino server. And there's an email in there. Half a gig email. Not as impressive as last year's, except there's a screenshot of it just to prove that I did actually see it at the time. Because being an administrator, you're going to take a screenshot of that before you fix the problem. You know. Yeah, yes, I'm fixing it. Print screen, save. You know.
Document the environment.
You know?
Yes.
So it's a half a gig email.
Nah.
That's really bad. Problem is,
yeah.
220 gigabytes of data could possibly have been transferred in this email. Okay? So, solutions. Drop the router task, open the mail.box, delete the mail that was in the mail.box, and shoot the person that caused the problem.
Ironically, the safety officer.
The health and safety officer in this company watched an MPEG video about health and safety at work, which was about half a gig in size, and he thought it was really, really good. So he attached it as an email and mailed it to all users. We're on about a decentralized environment as well. So that started spreading to the other servers and then routing out to all the local servers in that server. So that's why they thought the servers were slowly coming down. When in fact the servers were just trying to deal with a heroic level of email to try to actually dispatch. Okay? So You have to close the router task on the server, tell router quit. You then have to delete the mail from the mail.box and then restart the router. It's also a very good idea to do a tell router compact option then at that stage as well, which will drop the router, compact the mail.boxes because they're a bit bigger than they should be. So brings them back down to a compressed size and then reloads the router task. Okay? Few things about this. I would mention it again. The Domino's servers were trying to route that email. Theoretically, it would have eventually routed that email across the WAN to an environment, which is a testament to an excellent routing engine. It would potentially have got it done. It was nowhere near finished by the time we got there, so we got to fix the problem. You also probably have to go into all the mail files and actually delete that mail message from there as well. Lessons learned. Some very obvious lessons learned from here. Restrict your mail attachment sizes. The tools are there for you to do this already. You can use the rules in the configuration document. You can set maximum message size, also in your configuration document, and allow messages over a certain size to route at nighttime. Or also in your rules, you can block messages now of certain types, ending with .avi, .mpeg, with the exception for the administrators who like to send each other all the MPEGs and the AVI files. You wouldn't want to ruin our own day, okay? So you can use the configurations to block all of these things for the end users. Now, those tools are already there. A lot of antivirus software also comes with this. Your rules will also stop people from sending many attachments of various sizes. So if there's too many attachments in the email, you can block that as well. Now, customized mail template is something I use as a preference. Is Bruce Elbert here? Or Vince? There's Vince there. Vince is over there. And Nathan Freeman is there as well from OpenNTF. The OpenNTF mail template is now going to have a piece of code in the file that when people try to attach a large attachment at source, it will stop them there before sending the email to the server. So you're not going to take the hit of the transfer anyway. It stops it at the mail file immediately. So the Domino's server doesn't have to deal with and then refuse the email. So it's a very, very useful tool. I'd strongly suggest you take a look at the OpenNTF mail file template. And that's son of email from hell.
Ah, yes. The decrappy code.
This is you.
Developer, developer, developer. Oh, God. Okay, this is a huge government organization. Ironically, some of the users of this organization are law enforcement officers with guns. Now, I tend to move around on stage to present less of a target. Obviously this developer decided just to paint a big target on his ass when he did this, okay? I tend to tailor applications as to how violent the customers are. He clearly didn't. Performance was suboptimal. 20 minutes to load a single page. Yeah. And it was a big server. It wasn't running on an Xbox. It was like quad Xenon with 50 terabytes of memory, the whole thing, All the CPUs running 100%. User performance was terrible. Not even a large number of users, yeah. The idea is that you use an agent to construct some lookup data, then transform it using XSL, and then pass it down to the JavaScript, which would then render it. Cool, yeah? Cool, new technology, yeah? Well, we checked the data transfer between the server and the client, and what did we find? We found it constructed 4 meg of data per web page. Every single page was 4 meg, yeah? Some poor schmuck of an agent in the background had to construct all of that web data. I mean, what was this web page? What was so critical about this web page? It was a list of documents the user was able to see. So, what about views? Views are cool. Oh, can we use those? Yeah. Yeah, views are cool. So we stuck a view in, and it went from 20 minutes to 100 milliseconds. That's 12,000 times faster. Yeah? Whoa! When a developer claims that 20-minute response time is acceptable, kill him. Mount the developer's head on the wall. Yeah? Remove him from the gene pool. Please. So, lessons learned. You can use some really sexy new technology, such as XML, XSL, Ajax, and you can still write shit applications. Okay? Yeah! You can get the quality right down using the latest Web 2.0 beta standards. Yeah! Try and engage your brain when you start in the morning. That kind of helps. Anybody who says that you're going to wait more than 4 or 5 seconds without any response, send them back to COBOL classes on the mainframe, yeah? This is now 2007, I think, yeah?
Not for you.
Yeah. Be aware how much data you're sending up and down to that sexy web page you've just developed. Use a bit of common sense. Use the relevant development tools for the relevant problem, okay? That's really the summary. Don't get carried away.
This is a personal favorite of mine, the identity crisis.
Pardon me.
Okay. Again, a large multinational site with many, many servers and one specific global hub. There was 3 global hubs in the environments in Asia Pac, Europe, and Americas. And one of these servers was routing to a hub in every other major country. All those hubs were. All of a sudden, one day, all mail routing and replication between one of the global hubs stopped. Won't work anymore. Won't communicate, won't connect. Server's up, but the servers won't replicate and the servers will not route mail to each other. So I get a phone call and I get to come in onto the site, and immediately you start your investigation. You start to check the log files. You start to look at the console. You start to try and use your trace command. You start to try and use nping. You start to try and actually see, can you connect to the servers in any way, shape, or form? But the server's up. So I'm going, okay. So I go to the administrator. I say, did you do anything?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
Funnily enough, I immediately smell a rat. Okay. Numerous security errors appearing on the console. The servers do not have access to the server anymore, and the server doesn't have access to other servers anymore. So I checked admin4.nsf. And what did I find? The administrator was trying to get into a database in the hub, and he couldn't get access, as an administrator couldn't, because he didn't have the rights to get access, but he really wanted to get into this database. So he created a user with the same name as the server. So he registered a user, switched to that ID and tried to open the database, and it still won't work. So he goes, oh, that's no good, so I'll just delete the user, and then use admin P. When you delete a user with admin P, it doesn't just delete the user account. Admin P is a fantastic and often disrespected tool. It will delete the user account. It will also look for that text entry and delete it from groups, ACLs, readers fields, authors fields, lookups, just about anywhere and everywhere. Because the person document was the same name as the server, admin P went through and looked for all those entries and removed them all. Therefore, the server was locked out of everything. Okay? The server document stayed, funnily enough. I don't even understand why they're myself. So, resolution. Take note of all the admin P requests that have been processed so far and try to restore them. It'd be better off to put in a backup copy of your Domino directory immediately if you could afford to do that. Remove the remaining admin P requests. A very common misconception. Admin P, admin4.nsf, is a separate database to the NAB. Just because you fix it in the NAB, admin P might try to do it again. So it might try to delete some of the entries again. So you have to clear out the administration request database. Restore all changes in the ACLs, then shoot the administrator. Don't let him off on this one. Lessons learned. Since Notes 3, we have 2 fantastic tools. One tool being the administration request system. How many people here were Notes 3 administrators? What happened when a user changed their name? You told them to keep their name.
Yeah.
Person goes, I got married. I go, I'm so happy for you. I'm not changing your name on the system. I don't care. Okay? There was no process or tool to handle all the requests. It's a decentralized model. So the administration request system, admin P and admin4.nsf's job is to go through every reference for names and rename them. And it does it fantastically well. It's a great tool. There's some fantastic sessions on it all week. So you have to have a lot of respect for that. Another fantastic little feature is you can specify accounts in an ACL. It was a very common way to break into a Notes database many, many years ago in the earlier versions, that if you had a server that had access to a database, you would create an account with the same name and you could get in, or create a group with the same name and you could get in under that group. Many people did that in their Notes 3 days. Many people broke into their boss's mail file with this. Come on, admit it. It's okay. Okay. All right. I was young and I needed the money. Okay, you've got to realize that in Notes 4 on, you can specify a person as a person, a server as a server. So if someone tries to do that, like create a group, add themselves to the group, and then try to get access to a database, it doesn't work. Okay? And automatically the Domino server will try to assign references to people. There's a lookup button you can click, and the Domino server will do its best job to say, well, he's a person, that's a group, that's a server, and enable and enhance the security model for you. It needs to be very much respected in a security environment. Education, education, education. There are phenomenal resources available to administrators and developers. I'll start at the top. We've got the Red Books. You've got the Developer Works, or LDD, or NotesNet, as we would call it. The IBM support pages. Education courses. There's fantastic education courses for Notes administrators and developers. Many people here went to a Notes admin course. Maintaining the Domino infrastructure, implementing, they're good courses. You get a good person teaching that course and you will learn lots. The development courses also being exactly the same. Okay, IBM support, also great references in the knowledge bases for information, and also the blogs. In this room, in this place for the next week, you've got some of the smartest people about Lotus Notes.
And us.
And us. And they put technical information up on their blog sites all the time for free. Okay? Is there any bloggers here? Put your hands up. Anyone live blogging? Oh, we're screwed. We're screwed. Okay?
We're going to get him.
That's okay. That's grand. Just drop it.
Kill the internet.
Okay, the blog sites are fantastic. If you haven't subscribed to them, I strongly suggest you do. Show and Tell Thursday is a process that was kicked off at the start of last year.
Yep.
Okay, which every Thursday, administrators or developers who are bloggers on a Thursday will post a useful tip. Okay, and it has now grown into an aggregated database with about 500-600 tips in there.
Yeah, some really good stuff.
Some really, really good stuff that people put up there for free. And it's practical stuff. It's not like a white paper that you've written. It's, I've come up against this problem. Here's how I fixed it. And people comment on that and help it. There's plenty of resources and information available to administrators and developers to stop you from trying stuff like this at the best of times. Okay? Okay. And you.
Oh, just one last thing on the Red Books. IBM have printed up 1,500 CDs with all the Lotus Red Books. It'll be available in the Business Partner Forum at the Red Book stand. I suggest you get over there as quickly as possible before they all disappear.
And grab 2.
And 4. Pardon me. Missing you already. This exec is out in the road and he starts getting phone calls from just about everybody he's corresponded with in the last 3 years saying, yeah, we know you're on holiday. So, what? 3 years? Well, what's going on here? Well, the out-of-office agent had ran and sent mail to everyone in his address book for the last 3 years. Amazing stuff. What had happened is he'd enabled out-of-office on his BlackBerry and not set it to the correct date. He'd rolled it back, picked the default date out of the out-of-office agent, which was the last time he ran it 3 years ago. Out-of-office agent then got enabled and went, hey, I need to mail all these people, and off it did. It worked. It's another example of the technology working beautifully, but somebody telling it to do something really dumb. Okay? So it's not necessarily a BlackBerry problem or an IBM problem, whatever. It's just, you know, these things happen, so watch out. And if you are running BlackBerries, then watch out for this particular issue. Okay? The resolution. He had to phone and email, you know, a lot of people to explain, you know, what had happened. It was very embarrassing. Lessons learned. Leave the out-of-office agent date to today on the BlackBerry, okay? Tell your BlackBerry users. Tell them how to use the the out-of-office thing properly, and this problem shouldn't occur. Okay. No one to shoot.
Here's a good one to shoot somebody, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Security for beginners. This is a personal favorite of mine again. A lot of the time in what I do from day to day, I do a lot of consultancy, and as much nowadays, I get called in to do security audits for Domino architectures. Who here's done a security audit in their time? Who here's had a security audit in their time? You know, everybody's come in, everybody's done one. And a lot of the times, people come in to do a security audit, they'll analyze your network, your architecture, and then they'll look at the Domino server and go, oh, it's fine, and walk away. Domino people can come in and do good Domino security audits. So I was asked to do one on a very large financial institution. And it was Domino 6, it was Mail Application Server was the one I was actually just sitting in near. It was the one in their site at the time. Very, very heavy usage. And the site had a relatively new administrator and a very seasoned developer. Very cynical, seasoned developer who'd obviously, you know, it was Bill. It was somebody that had been around a long time and had the administrator under his thumb or wherever he wanted him. And I was asked to come in and do a security audit. And the first thing that you do when you're doing a security audit, or the first thing that I do, as opposed to a penetration test, is you try to be a little bit cheeky. So I go in, I have my laptop in, and I go, okay, I want to do a security audit. And I go, fine, can I plug my laptop into your network? And the guy went, yeah, okay. And I go, okay. I'll plug my laptop into your network, and I was handed an IP address from a very friendly DHCP server. And I says, okay, I'm now on the LAN. This is great. So I start going, okay. Take a look at the LAN settings, take a look at the operating system, and I get onto their Domino environment. And I noticed that my ID file could open their server. How had this happened? In the server document, there's a very old and very unused field called Allow Anonymous Notes Connections, which is by default set to God no. And this was set to yes. Now, to explain this, to talk about the security model a little bit at the moment, everybody here is an ID file. When Domino servers and server to server or client to server are talking to each other, the first thing that happens is an authentication method where you present a part of your ID file to the server. The server checks to see if the encryption algorithm given to me in that part of the sign matches a certificate I have in my Domino directory. And if it does, I'm in. Then the other levels of security all kick in, server access and ACLs and what have you. If it doesn't happen, the server immediately goes, oh, well, here, you take my certificate. Has everybody seen this? Come up and say, you know, accept across certificate, even server to server or client to server. And if a client accepts that certificate, that's no big deal, it's no harm. You still can't get into the Domino server because the Domino server doesn't have your certificate. So Domino servers are cheeky by default. When you're doing cross-certification between Domino servers, and say I'm a small server and he's a large partition server, and we're communicating for the first time. When I say hello to Bill, Bill will actually say, well, do you want my certificate? And I'll go, okay, thank you very much. Who can access who now? Bill can hit me. I still can't hit his server. I'd like to hit Bill, but I can't. He's a lot bigger. But you can't get onto that server because that server doesn't have my certificate. You can turn all that off by setting Allow Anonymous Notes Connections. The Domino server goes, no, I don't have your certificate, but sure, I trust you. You must be my friend.
Oh, you look fine.
Come on in. This is a historical thing before, like, web came along as a big environment, and you had kind of Domino-based replication in news groups. The early knowledge base used to use it a lot. Everybody'd have their ID file, and you could replicate the knowledge bases with Lotus, and that server up there didn't care what ID file you had. So by default, it's set to no, incredibly rarely set to yes. What happened here was the developer was really too tired about switching IDs between his development and his live environment, and he was really, you know, he'd had enough of it. There's a new administrator in who we equivalent to like fresh meat and said, like, I want anonymous access turned on. If you flick this setting on, I don't have to worry about that anymore, and I can put the applications on the server and use my development ID, so I'm still well behaved, but use that in the live domain. So the administrator turned it on and allowed the developer to do this. Okay? So, resolution. This allow anonymous notes connections immediately. Has anyone got this enabled in a production environment? Not a hand. Okay?
Good.
It doesn't get used anymore really at all. I know one site that uses it with good cause, and that's it. Okay? Immediately go through all the log files because that's a major security breach. Any ID file could have accessed your environment. Imagine that was a tunnel server and that port 1352 was open to the web for people to come in and replicate. Anybody could have gone in onto that server. I could open databases with my ID file because some of the default accesses were set to like above no access. Perfect, great. Okay, so discuss the importance of the feature with the administrator with a large bat. Put the developer in a sin bin and leave him there for a long time. But then you have to check all the signatures and all the code the developer has distributed and see if those signatures have agent rights and see if those signatures have agent access. And you'll have to re-sign all your code and redeploy all your code in your environment. And then shoot the developer.
Yeah.
Okay? Lessons learned. This is a pre-web feature, and I got thinking about this. Now 702, many people have used Nomad. Very good feature. Imagine Nomad, and you go into a site, and this is on. You just plug your USB key into an environment now, and you can access their Domino server. So it's even more dangerous as a feature. Do not have this turned on anywhere, okay? Do not implement features under pressure. If you're an administrator or a developer and you're being told to do something by your boss, say no. Always say no. Administrators always say no by default anyway. Then we go off and have a think about it. And if you feel like it, we'll say yes, okay?
Best
Any administrator ever agreed to anything first time? Good, good, fantastic. Okay, never agree. Never implement a new feature in your environment unless you're fully aware of the consequences. Research your features. The administrator should have access to the development domain to do whatever he wants there as well. Just to make sure that before you implement or put anything into production, you have a clear understanding of what it can do and you have it documented in your architecture. Okay? Developers, again, should have zero rights to the production environment. That one's me.
Okay. Pardon me. Oh, the Marlboro Man. Oh, my life. Okay, so agent ageism. This is a government agency, and what they would do is track people of a particular age and send out correspondence based on that age date. Now, because the age was quite high, obviously the government couldn't send out letters to people who may have passed on. So there was a huge, highly visible application. Okay, it could not possibly go wrong. Okay, so it went wrong. What happened is during a hardware refresh, a Domino consultant, goes along and says, "Hello, Mr. Customer, do you have complete backups?" "Of course." "Okay." The consultant then moved the databases across, and during the move itself, the databases got corrupted. Ouch. So then he asked the customer for the backup tape. "Oh, it's broken. Can I get the backup tape?" He got a tape, but there wasn't anything on it for 7 years. They'd been backing up fresh air for 7 years. Yeah, hey, it ran really quick tonight. It did, didn't it? Yeah. Damn.
Said successful at the end.
It did, yeah, it looked successful. Only took a nanosecond. Whoa. So, I mean, who here has lost huge amounts of data because backup tapes failed? Yeah? I mean, my personal story is I was involved in a $400 million merger between two companies. One was going public, and I lost that company's account system for 3 months, right in the middle of that process. I was not Mr. Popular, okay? That was my last permanent position. So there's a reason for that. So I know it's dull, I know it's boring, I know it's not really development stuff, but for God's sake, check the backup tapes. That's what junior members of IT are for, okay? If you got a new guy, check the tapes, son. I'll check you. If there's anything wrong, I'm gonna kill you. That's what you do. That's apprenticeship, yeah? Always check the backup tapes. So what's the resolution? Who knows?
You got me.
Hey.
Start typing.
Yeah, you could look at bits of paper and you could rekey. You could just bang on everyone's doors and say, "Are you old?" So, never, ever, ever, ever trust customers. Never, ever, ever trust backup tapes. If you're doing a hardware refresh, always copy it somewhere else first. It takes an extra couple hours, but hey, you're being paid by the hour, right? Yeah, okay.
Just as a point before we go on that story, this is one of the more famous worst practices story because the person that did this is in the room. So he's going to either stand up right now because I used to work with him, or I'm going to point him out. Declan Lynch, say hello to everybody. Hello, Declan Lynch. Did you do anything wrong, Declan?
He was young, and he believed the customer.
He believed the user. Declan's also the guy that created Blogsphere template that everybody here is using when they're blogging. Okay. As another point before I move on that, I always say it as well, if you can get away with the hardware, if you can get access to temporary swap hardware, even temporarily cluster a server when you're doing some sort of hardware refresh or move, always a good move if you can. Okay, onto my story. Oh, is that important? This is a very big site. This is the biggest site of all out of the whole thing for today. Over 90 servers, 65,000 users all around the world. One Friday, of course, because it has to be a Friday evening, all replication and mail routing stops. Okay? Starts in the hub and slowly affects every server in the environment. So funnily enough, my phone rings and everybody else on the planet that works for this company's phone ring and says, get to the office immediately. Go start investigating the problem. So I get to their site. And again, starting a hands-off attitude. Let's take a look through the environment, see what you can see. Check the consoles, check comms. Okay, maybe their WANs, maybe their VPN links are down. Check to see what's causing the problem first. Get as much information, document before you change anything. That gives you great credibility when you actually do make changes, because you can just document exactly what you've switched over. So you go through the full investigation, and I'm going to try something different for this presentation. I'm going to use the Marcel Marceau approach of giving a presentation. I'm going to do it with pictures, and I'll explain it afterwards for the developers. Ooh. This is a fake domain, obviously, okay? It's all your server documents. The administrators obviously got the joke. What had happened? And a junior administrator saw the local domain servers group and decided to delete it, and deleted it using the administration process. Admin P, being a very good little tool, deletes the local domain servers group and then deletes it from everywhere it can find it. Where's the one place local domain servers appears everywhere? The ACL. Default ACL entry, local domain servers is in there. The Domino directory, any reference to it everywhere was removed. So we removed it from the hub server first, then replicated, and that's when the hub server stopped working, but then the other servers would process their requests and stop working. When they saw this problem, the administrators on the site immediately disabled replication of the Domino directory, forgetting to disable replication of administration requests. So the requests still replicated out, and it kept on deleting it from everywhere anyway. They're two separate databases, so you must actually disable them in both places. Naturally enough, this is not an easy thing to fix if you actually consider it. You have to flush out the admin P requests from every server, re-enter the entry for local domain servers manually immediately just to get your servers back up and running, and then re-add the entry into all the ACLs. Has anyone ever seen this before? I stand alone. Oh, go. We have another one. Did you cause it? Was it your company? No.
Actually, I knew that company.
Okay, well, we're okay. It can happen. It can happen. You do have to treat it with a lot of level of respect. Lessons learned. Limit your administration access to your environment, please. Okay? Education, education, education. Like, if you consider your administrators in an environment, administrators can have user creation privileges just without delete, or user modifier roles in all of your ACLs in your Domino directory. You can give administrators enough level to do their job, but not enough rights to really screw it up. So you can help yourself here and actually cover your own environment and limit your risk. Response procedure documentation is something I would actually also try to encourage people to do. This is a what-if environment. What right now would you do if this happened to your environment after you got back up? Okay? So you'd have to actually consider full disaster contingency and a full disaster environment contingency for actually your environment and dealing with that. Okay? Have a test environment. So if the administrator really wants to screw up the Domino environment, let him do it in the test environment first before you actually push it out to the live one.
Okay, this is our last story, and I'm going to just make the very quick point that we'll never, ever, ever tell you who this was or which country it was in, okay? So, we're apolitical. We hate all politicians, so we're not partisan in that respect. So, political party implemented a Domino-based website. Fantastic. A lot of them have done, a lot of them will do. And it actually allowed people to donate funds, which is cool. But they were told there was a major security issue, so they got in a third party to do some penetration testing. Now, penetration testing with Domino in terms of URLs is really easy. I mean, you can type database name /0, and that will open the default view, for instance. There's various standard URLs that you as a Domino developer should be aware of so you can secure those so that default views, default forms, and so on are all hidden from the web. Okay? Basically, they try and break the system. They try to break into the system. And yeah, they got in. Oops. The cause. Well, if you subscribe to conferences such as Black Hat and so on, the White Hat hacker conferences, they will tell you about using things like search engines looking for particular strings in URL. For instance, MasterCard and ?open, for instance. That's a Domino-style URL and MasterCard, and this is how people were able to identify this site very quickly. Okay? The default view had not been secured. The default form had not been secured. The transaction record that was being written had no reader fields.
Fantastic.
Yeah? Wow.
Well
you
done.
could get into this database and you could read personal information without being prompted for a password once. Okay? So, resolution. Shoot the developer. Twice, 3 times, however many times.
We've shot a lot of developers.
Oh, yeah. I'm honest. Shoot whoever tested the application. Seriously. I mean, if you're doing a commercial application in any web platform, you always get it heavily tested. You're talking about confidential information that you might get sued for a lot of money for. So, you know, whoever tested it. Take the application offline immediately and pray that it's not on the Wayback Ware machine. Okay? Pray that Google hasn't cached it. Yeah? Domino has a 7-layer security model. You can tie stuff down incredibly well. National security agencies, all over the world, use Domino, and they use one or more levels of security to secure their applications. Yeah? Don't implement any form of application on the internet without considering your security, what you require. If it's a blog, you don't really care. If it's a financial application, you should care. Okay? Domino reader author fields are very powerful. The grey stuff between your ears normally is very powerful. Neither was used. Okay?
Okay, we're almost out of time, so we're going to finish up here with the top 10 do's.
Go!
Okay, it's not always Note's fault. How many people here have worked in support? Many people got a phone call saying I can't print from Notes, but then realize they can't print from anything else as well. Okay, that's the worst practice. It isn't always Note's fault. Don't replace the Domino directory with the mail file template. Please.
Yeah. Don't switch on public key checking without testing, especially if your certificates are bad. Okay?
Let's go on to the next ones. Don't. Okay. Be careful what ports you stop on a server. I was upgrading a server in a far and distant country, and I was doing work on the server at the time, and I was doing it through the just port 1352, just using a remote console, and I did stop port TCP/IP. Immediately locking myself out of the server as well in the process. Be careful what you turn off or turn on a Domino server.
Yeah. Default manager on any database is a really bad idea. Yeah.
Don't add local domain servers to the terminations group. Please, if you don't mind.
Don't do it.
It will ruin your day. The cleanup agent and the domlog.nsf. Many people have seen domlog.nsf get enormous in your environment because somebody hasn't enabled a cleanup agent to actually purge documents after you exceed a certain number of days. Turn it on because it will really hurt your index viewing, it will hurt the HTTP task, and it hurts all of your environment.
Okay, well.
Well, what have we done? The same thing we do all the time. We're passing on a few experiences that we have ourselves over the environments, and we're trying our best actually, as we learn our lessons, to impart to you what lessons that you have, okay? Making you feel a bit better about mistakes that you could have possibly made, because some of the ones that we've come across are undoubtedly bigger and worse. Mistakes will happen in your environment. It's how you deal with them and how you resolve them and how you prevent them from happening again that shows how professional you are in your company. So having a mistake is fine. It's how you actually move on from that actually shows how good you are in your environment.
Yeah. Never try and make sweeping changes under time pressure. Yeah. You will screw up. Yeah. Always try and plan, check, test, and then implement those sweeping changes. It will save your job, really. Okay, measure twice, cut once. we're kind of wrapping up now because we've got about like 30 seconds. We will hear your confessions in the speaker's room. Yeah. And lastly?
And lastly, we have a website, theworstpractices.com, which is actually getting quite popular these days, and people can go up and submit anonymously their worst practices, which we will then approve and publish onto the website. So if you don't want to come back to the speaker's lounge and you do feel like you wanted to tell us some stories, by all means, go up there and submit as many as you can. Okay? Okay, thank you very much, guys.
Fill out the evaluations.
Fill out your evaluations, please, before you go.